Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to the last session for this evening. I'm still your host, Odo Priscilla. And during the course of today's session, we've been able to understand and learn a whole lot of different things today. And sorry for keeping you all to this time. We are starting very late, and we are so sorry about that. Without wasting much time, let us watch this very short biography about our speaker, then we start the business of today.
Is a conveyor of how we do it, a monthly webinar where parents and significant adults are educated and enlightened on various topics they may find difficult, answering questions and have meaningful conversations with children and teens. She runs a yearly accountability program for young Christian ladies and students who are ready to achieve their goals. She also hosts the Read Your Entire Bible in 4 Months challenge that runs twice every year. Salah is a graduate of the Rema Bible Training Center, Nigeria. She holds a certificate in mental health and addiction therapy from the Institute of Marriage and Family Affairs, USA, certificate in entrepreneurial management program from Enterprise Development Center of the Pan Atlantic University, Lagos, Nigeria, postgraduate diploma in education from Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. Stella is a children's Sunday school teacher of over 12 years and volunteers in the Children's Church of her local assembly. She is married to Edward Oboko, and together they are blessed with 3 boys. Stella Oboko will be speaking on the topic Standing Strong, answering tough questions and having meaningful conversations with your words. Stella Chichi Oboko.
All right, Ma, the floor is all yours. Welcome once again, Mrs. Stella Oboko.
All right, thank you so much for having me. Apologies once again, everyone. My session was supposed to be tomorrow, but I had to do a quick swap with Berepela Abibo. Reasons, all things work together for good. I think we missed our times. He was thinking he was speaking tomorrow, so but all things work together for good. Actually, I wanted him to speak tomorrow because it's the International Day of the Boy Child. No, he chose this date and I didn't want to push, but God has a way of arranging things right in our favor. So he'll be speaking tomorrow 8 p.m. Once again, apologies to everybody who wanted to listen to him today. So I will be the one speaking this evening, and I want to plead with everyone to please give me your attention and then listen and be blessed. Let's learn together and be blessed. So, this evening, I will be talking on the topic standing strong, answering tough questions, and then having meaningful conversations. This is a very important topic because permit me to say that everything is changing. The society is no longer what it used to be. I want to be sure there are people who are following me in this session this evening. I am not alone here. So please, if you are already in the house, you're already watching, please I'd like to get your feedback. I want to know if you can hear me, if yeah, you're there. Just want to be sure that I'm not alone. So if you can hear me, you can see me, please go ahead and make your comment. All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Reverend. Okay, thank you so much. Loud and clear. All right, thank you so much. So, since we started, it's been amazing. We've had different sessions, very insightful sessions. Thank you so much, Margaret. I can hear you. All right. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Oh, wow. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ma. I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my sisters. Thank you, sir. All right, so let's flow. Okay, so in recent times, you and I will believe that things have changed. Things are changing. Looking back at when we grew and looking back at our generation, we will see that asking and answering question isn't well accepted. Isn't well accepted. We grew up in times when if you ask questions as a child, you're tagged rebellious, disobedient, and everything. In fact, asking questions in some clients, in some places, was a crime for you. If you ask too much, you are being told to shut up, you talk too much. And if you and I will just look back to our society, our industries, places where our generations are manning and are in control of institutions, you will still see that we are still suffering such the shame culture of asking questions. So you ask a question, you're being shamed for asking questions. You talk about your concerns, you are being shamed for sharing or airing your concerns. A quick example, please. I am not really picking on these organizations. I want to call their names, but you and I can believe that will believe with me that whenever you ask them questions, they get offended. If you are in Nigeria or West Africa, I don't know how it happens in other places. How many of you have asked the police a question and got a good answer? Most times it's them interrogating you, and when you try to talk or even air your concerns about things, you are being shamed. You are, in fact, you are being harassed in some cases. The next thing is, are you teaching me my job? So your innocent question or your curiosity to even understand what is happening gets you into further troubles. Has anyone experienced that? I remember one of the times my bag was snatched from me and I had to go make a report in the police station. And some of the things they were saying to me, I didn't understand. And for every time I tried to ask questions, just for clarity, I got into further troubles for coming to make a complaint that my bag was snatched from me. And that's one. Another one, it's have you ever walked into a public service office for anything and then you're making inquiries? You see, some of them, they just go on the defense. And most times, I do know, your questions are just simple. They're just normal. It's almost like, why are you asking? Do you want to teach me my job? And then so many times they get agitated, they get irritated for you asking questions. How many of you have electricity people come to your house and they're doing what you don't understand and you ask questions? Many times they get offended, and I'm just saying. So, that this culture we all grew up in where silence is assumed to be key. We've been told many times that silence is key. There's a way it's been put. I'd rather be silent. Yeah, there are times to be silent. That's how we grew. Some of us asked questions in classes and we got into troubles. Growing up in our schools, you ask the teacher questions. Instead of the teacher answering you those questions, you are shamed for asking questions. You get home, you try to ask questions at home. There's this shame culture we had built around making inquiries, asking questions, being curious. But things are changing. Our children are not taking that. No, our children are not taking that. Our children are becoming more vocal. Our children are now gaining their voices. Our children are refusing to be shut up. It's different because things are changing. Yes, there's that popular saying, silence is golden, or something like that. And we all grew with that. So silence is golden. When you're supposed to be asking questions, making clear inquiries, you are not able to. You are being told to keep quiet. Oh, especially if you're a woman or a girl child And then you enter in some clients, in some places, you are being told to keep quiet. Even when you know that the question, if those questions are answered, there'll be better clarity to it. So we all grew in a shame culture where inquiries, your curiosity, your wanting to know and understand led to shame, led to shame. But once again, it's changing. Our children are not taking it. Our children are not taking it. And I want to start by saying that every human being is born with an unbridled curiosity. Every human being is born with an unbridled curiosity. So every child is born curious. Every single child you know is born curious. And there is little or nothing you can do to stop a child from exploring. You can't keep a child from following sounds. You can't keep a child from following touch. It's inborn. You can't. So as a child is born, he's curious. And what is it about curiosity? Why is that thing there? Why is it like that? He wants to touch. He wants to feel. He wants to know. Every child is born curious. But then the question is, what do we do with their curiosity? So as they begin to grow, they remember that at that stage when they are born, that curiosity makes them, as they are developing, want to do things, want to climb. It's because they want to know, why is that thing there? Why is it like that? It draws their attention. So drawing their attention, they want to know what it is. What is this? But as they begin to grow, now take note of this. Remember, I've said something about the shame culture in which many of us grew, where you ask questions, you're told, shut up, you're talking too much. Shut up, don't you know you're a girl? Do you get, shh, that question is too big for your mouth. In fact, sometimes you ask questions, you are being suspected to have started doing some things when innocently you are asking questions. Now, as a child begins to grow, he begins to interact with his environment, then begins to observe, and imaginative nature broadens, and their inquisition heightens. As every child begins to grow, he begins to interact with his environment. It's not just being born, he's not seeing things. Now he begins to interact with his environment. He wants to know what is happening in his environment. So he begins to interact with it. He begins to observe. Every child begins to observe. His imaginative nature begins to broaden, and his inquisitive nature begins to heighten. So it is every child's desire to learn. So the unending question. Every child wants to learn. Every child wants to know. And that's why they begin to ask you questions. I will always say at age 3, every child catches a bug. And how do we pronounce it? Inquisition bug. They begin to want to know. They begin to ask you questions. Mommy, why is this like this? Daddy, why is that this? Mommy, why? Who is this? What's that? Can I have this? Can I do that? Can I do that? Can I touch? Is it blue? Is it green? Will it hurt me? It's like a bug. They just catch a bug at that time. And they just want to ask and ask and ask because they are beginning to interact with their environment. Now, outside the conditioned learning, we have conditioned learning environment. That is the school, it's conditioned. Out the school and questions surrounding their curriculums. Children are bothered with that may never be answered in such environment. So most times we take our children to school. Now they are growing, a position is heightening, they want to know more, they want to interact with their environment. They are learners. And the truth is that if we help them at this age, they become children who are willing to learn. So curiosity heightens, but then something happens. If you and I don't help them nurture their curiosity, do you know what we do? We begin to kill it. And instead of our children to become interested in learning, they begin to shy away from learning. So because curiosity is increasing, a lot of parents begin to shut their children down. The society begin to shut them down, which is wrong. And when you begin to shut down heightened curiosity, it begins to, die down. So you see children who are not willing to ask you questions, even as much as they have their questions, it begins to change. No, so what happens is that yes, they are curious, it's heightened, but in our own times, you are shut down. But in their own times, things are changing. They begin to find their answers in other places. Why? Because they're living in time and age when information is just right here in their palms. Information is everywhere for them to get their answers. Okay, so outside the school environment, conditioned environment of the school, where after a teacher has finished teaching us on the school, just ask any question. I want us to know that our children have other questions they are asking. They're asking questions about life. They're asking questions about, they have their personal things bothering their heart. Their personal questions may never be answered in such environments. Yes, their personal questions may never be answered in classes. So your children may never take their personal questions to their classroom teachers because that environment does not give them that room. Thus, the exposure you avail your child, the conducive the conduciveness of environment we create around these children and their experiences will determine if and who they will carry their unanswered questions to. So the questions are there with them. So the environment will create for them. Like I said, those questions won't go away because they will find answers. Now the environment will create for them will determine if those questions will be answered and where they will go find their answers. If those questions they will ask you and where or who they will take their questions to and where they will go to find their answers. Now, it's a privilege by God to you and I, especially parents, to be frontliners to answering these children's questions. It's a privilege to be first line impactors in the lives of our children. First line impactors in the lives of our children is a privilege. Like I was saying earlier, knowledge is on the increase, just like the Bible said in Daniel chapter 1, Daniel chapter 12, verse 4. But you, Daniel, keep this prophecy as secret, seal it up the book until time of the end, when many will rush here and there, and knowledge will increase. That's the scripture. Knowledge will increase. And I tell you, this is the time in which knowledge is increased, not just in children, even in adults. So believe me that there is no information you want on earth now that you cannot get. So also is it with children. Knowledge is on the increase. There is knowledge flying everywhere. It's heightened. We are so much aware of a lot of things. And so it is also with the children God has put in our hands. So when we do not answer their questions, they are likely going to take these questions to other places. Now, by privilege, you and I, now I'm talking to parents first. By privilege, God has made you and I first line impactors in the lives of our children. It is in our hands to equip them with the right and correct answers that fits the values and principles you are imbibing in your children. God has put us in that position. They have their questions. Their parents, you are the first line impactor. Then after that, we can talk about every other person who God will now bring your way to co-parent with you to help answer the questions your children are answering. These children will not be with us forever. They will not be with us forever. Would you want to raise a child who is naive, vulnerable, and is given to every wind of doctrine? Or would you want to raise a child who is built on truth, on the word of truth, and trained to live a balanced life? So that's the question. Our children are asking questions. So how do you handle their questions? Now, what is even a tough question? When we say children are asking questions, generally children are asking questions. And then their questions will go from simple to complex. The child whose questions you answer today, the simple, will be given in to ask you more questions tomorrow. Why? Because your door of communication is open to that child. So the child will be willing to come to you next time to ask questions. Now, if you are that person who keeps shutting the door of communication to that child, what do you think? The child will take his questions elsewhere, isn't it? So, answering questions, tough questions, will start from answering the simple questions your toddler is asking you today, the simple questions your child is asking you today, and then begin to build that relationship that will lead to that child bringing their questions, bringing their curiosities, bringing their concerns to you. There are real life, real time questions, concerns, and all of that. So when we say a question is a tough question, what do we mean? When I say a question, this child's question is a tough question, what does it mean? Now, a question is a tough question where you do not know the answer at the moment. A child is bringing a question to you, and at that moment, you do not have the answer. In fact, you don't know the answer. You may never have even heard what that child is asking you at that moment. Or you may have heard it, but you don't have an idea really what it is. Or you don't know it. It's a tough question. A child is bringing maybe something about a religion or a doctrine or a concept you have never had. Yes, it may be trending, or you just had it, but you don't know what it is. At that moment, it's a tough question. Okay, what again is a tough question? It's a question you are not sure of the answer. Yeah, this child asking a question, I may know it, but I am not sure of this answer. I think I know it, but at the moment, the answers to this question, I am not sure I know it. Now, in cases like this, a question you do not have the answer, a question you're not sure of what the answer is, what do you do in such situations? Please be honest enough to tell the child, honestly, I don't have an answer to this question. I do not know the answer to this question, or I am not sure of the answer to this question. But hey, guy, hey, girl, let's find the answer together. Or give me time to look for the answers to this, and I will get back to you. Those are two approaches. Please, can you give me time there? I'm not sure I know the answer to this. I know this, but I don't want to give you a wrong answer. I don't want to feed you with wrong information. Permit me to do a little study on this, or permit me to just find out what it is. Or if you even know what it is, can you tell me how much you know about this? Do you get? You are at this moment, we are engaging that child in a conversation. And many times, like we are saying, meaningful conversation, ability to hold a child in a conversation that is meaningful, that is helpful to that child. Okay, so the next one is, it's a difficult question if you do not understand the twist to that question. Now, a child is asking you a question, but you're not sure you understand the twist to what that child is asking at that moment. So the child is asking you a question. I think I know this, but is it really what I think it is? Can you shed more light on it? There's a twist to it that you may not understand. So this is something I know 10 years ago or 5 years ago, but the way this child is acting and the much this child knows about this doesn't really look like what I think I know anymore. So there could be a twist to it that you don't understand. And that's why we say, when a child is asking you a question, please ask clarifying questions. Do you get? So a child asks a question like, Mommy or Ma or Daddy, what's the meaning of period? Or what is sex? You know, the first time you're like, you may, it's something you know, right? Period and sex. Those are words that you know. But there could be a twist to it. What exactly is this child asking? You may go ahead and ask the child, oh, period. Where did you see that? And the child may say, oh, I saw it written somewhere, or I had it here. You know, if you're not careful, you may think the child is asking you about menstruation, right? There's a twist to it, which could actually be what that child is asking. The other twist to it, or the other simple thing may be period, full stop. So there's a twist to it that you may not understand. So you need to ask clarifying questions. Like, The child may be asking sex, and at that moment, maybe it doesn't look like you sure don't really understand where that question is coming from, because sometimes some tough questions can take you off guard. At times our children are asking tough questions and it can just take you off guard because you weren't expecting it. And you may react in a way that may be funny. But then you could ask, where did you see that? Where did you hear that? Or where did calmly? And the child could just pick up a document and show you sex, which means gender. And it also could be that the child is actually asking the meaning of sex, maybe from where he saw that or the conversation he or she had about that. So it's a difficult question when there is a twist to it, when it's not really clear. So in such cases, please ask clarifying questions. So there, wow, that's a good question. Where did you see that? Where did you hear that? Yes. So the child could actually give a clarifying answer, and then you can answer that child and have a meaningful conversation. Like period, you can also tell the child the different meanings of period if that child is of age for that conversation at that time. Or you will give the child an age appropriate answer to that question. Now, for every question, we would always say, and I've always said that if a child taught to ask, if a child taught to ask, that child is not too young to get an answer. If a child taught to ask you a question, that child is not too young to get an answer, no matter the question. No matter how embarrassing you think that question is, no matter how disturbing you think that question is, there is always an age appropriate answer. Now, just imagine a child, you took your child to the supermarket, real life story. And then the child, I don't know why they do this, that at the cash points, most times, condoms are kept there and sold. So there's this particular brand. This child just started to learn to read, is it? Grade four. No, the child was either 4 years or 5 years at that time. And the child just, in there, when they start reading, they want to read everything. And the child just read kiss, kiss. And then he was trying to pronounce the condom. And then he now asked his mom, what is this? I want it. Like the mom told me, said, but both the cashier and herself were shocked, because the child was asking, what is this? And she was saying, how do I have this conversation with this child on this? And I said, this is sexuality education now. There's an age appropriate answer to that question. So we had to look for it and then give it to that child. So there's a twist to it that you don't understand. And then the last one, which is also very important, I want us to pay attention to, I want to talk about here, is the answer is a conversation. You are not ready, or you are not willing, or or you're not comfortable to have at that moment. Then it's a difficult question. It's a conversation that you are not ready to have at that time. You are not willing or comfortable to have at that moment. It's a difficult question. And the truth is that our children will ask us such questions sometimes, especially when it comes to questions about our past lives, our growing up. There are some things, mistakes we've made in life. There are some questions our children may ask that may trigger something, a part of you have not healed from, you have not recovered from, and you are not willing about. And children will also ask you questions that, by reason of your background and the way you were raised, you are not comfortable answering such questions. Now, permit me to say that in the course or line of duty in ATQ and all that, I have had parents come to me to talk about some questions, they want to, the children are asking and all that, and they're telling me, I don't know how to handle this. And I'm sorry to say that most of the time, when I ask, where are you from? Especially when it comes to sexuality conversations, I notice that a lot of parents from the north shy away from those conversations. Their conversations, they are not comfortable having with their children. So it's a difficult question. Your child is curious, your child is asking, your child is even raising concerns on a particular area of their lives. And then it's a conversation you are not ready to have. The people who are not just ready to have that conversation at that moment, you see, they just shut the child down. But most times it's from a part of you that is still bleeding, that it's not healed, or a past you are yet to reconcile with. And then you see such parent or such person not ready. I'm not ready for this. Some people just say, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready. Or sometimes you even answer from a place where you're so tired. You're not in the mood to answer that question, which means you're not ready. You're not willing. Okay, I think I'm back. Can you see me now? Can you hear me? Please, where did you stop hearing me? Okay, please, where did you stop hearing me? Can anybody type in the comment section? Where did you stop hearing me? Okay, so I was telling a story of, I don't know where you stopped hearing me. I wish someone can type and just let me know where um, the network threw me out. Anybody? Okay, so I was saying that um, a parent once reached out to me and was saying that her child was asking questions about her growing up, and she had done so many things she wasn't proud of growing up. So she was asking how much information will be too much information to give to her child. And she kept saying, I'm not proud of this past. I don't know if this is a story I want to let my children hear. Or this, I don't think this is a conversation. I'm not willing, I'm not ready. And I had to tell her, see, you need to go and reconcile with the past, knowing that it is in the past. There are so many lessons that your past life will teach your child if you would only tell the child that story. There's so many things you will do for young girls if you can just go back, heal, reconcile, and then let the past be in your past. And then let the experiences from there become lessons you are willing to teach the younger generations. Okay, so the child wanted condom at the supermarket. Okay, all right. And then he was asking what is that. The parent, like I was saying, the mother was shocked. And also he said the look on the sales rep, the cashier, was also shocking. So nobody expected that. And then when she left the supermarket, she said, when they got, she told the child, shh, 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 I'll tell you what it is when we get home, because there are so many people there. And then she told, what will I tell this child? How do I handle this? And I told her there's an age appropriate conversation to this. This is sexuality education. You need to let that child know that that is used by adults. We had that conversation anyway to it, and then that passed. And then I was talking about another. So now this is next day, or this is the second story, the one I just told about a parent who the child was beginning to ask lots of questions about her growing up, and it was a past she really wasn't proud of. And then it was a difficult conversation. So I told her, I was telling her, you need to go for therapy, you need to heal, you need to reconcile with your past, you need to move on. And then that experience, you need to share it so that your children don't make the same mistake you have made. Again, if a child is asking a question, no matter the age, which means that child, if a child thought to ask, that child deserves an answer. So find age appropriate answers and give to that child. Now, every time you communicate with your child, open a room for conversation. For every time you answer your child's questions, that's an opportunity. That is a teachable moment you can have with that child. You can actually have a conversation with your child on that. Once again, children are asking questions. And I would say, if your child is not asking you questions, if your child is not able to communicate and have conversations with you as a parent, if children cannot open up in your gathering where they should be sharing generally about things, then I don't think it's about the child. It's about you. Because if you make the environment conducive for your children, especially from home, and then you have built a bond and trust with that child, your child will be willing to have conversations. And it is important that we always leave the conversation door open. What do I mean? Let your child know that they can always, again, always come back to you with whatever questions they have, whatever concerns they have, because sometimes their questions come in form of concerns. They may not ask questions, but they are concerned about things. Sometimes their question will even come in manners you do not expect. But that child is yearning for an information. That child is yearning for knowledge. That child wants to know. And then that's why we have to build this conversation net where our child can also come in. And then for every time our children come with questions, please don't shy away. There are ways we would answer our children's questions and they will never come back to us with their questions. If your child is not asking you questions, it means that there is no bond or connection with you and that child. Yes, if your child can't ask you questions, there's no bond because children will always want to ask, even into their teenage years. So if you have built the bond when they are children, then asking you questions in their teenage age will not be difficult because it's been built. You have not taken time to understand that child. Many times, why our children are not asking us questions is because they know that we don't understand them. So we need to take time to understand our children, understand how they operate. Some people will say this child does not talk. Yes, there are children who are introverted. They don't talk too much. But even in an introverted child, that child will always open up in a safe safe environment where that child is comfortable. Silence and quietness is not a fruit of the spirit. So if your child is not saying anything, is so secretive at home, then there's a problem. You have not connected with that child. You truly do not know that child. And if that child is not communicating to you, I'm sorry to say that child is getting his or her answers elsewhere. It's not in our time when we will keep quiet and then we use our head to be figuring it out. Some of them have found ways to get their answers. And I'm sorry to say, the internet is giving them answers. Communities, because in our own days, we didn't have so much communities. Apart from, for me, church, go to church, then the youth fellowship, and that was it. That was the highest community I had in my own time, and then go to school. But in their own times, oh, there are lots of communities. They have their communities on WhatsApp. They have lots of communities they are joining online, and they are getting these answers. But I want to ask you, will you be comfortable with answers your children are getting from the internet? Will you be comfortable with the answers the internet is throwing to them? I hope we know that the internet does not know who is a child of God, who is a pastor's child, who is not a. It just throws answers to them. Now you need to be the one who will guide them so that even when they get these answers online, they can bring it home. They understand values from home because there's been a conversation to some of these things. Many times we just throw things to our children. We throw values, we tell them the things that are the rules of the house, of our homes, we tell them all of that, but we don't even have these things in form of conversation. So, okay, I think can you hear me clearer now? So, we need to actually know who our children are so that whatever conversation, you can have conversations. So we don't throw things to our children, not just information. Don't do this, or do this, do that. Our children need to know the why. And that's why many times they ask us why. That's why I keep saying, and I'm saying it again, your children asking you questions, it's not a form of rebellion. It's not a form of disobedience. It's just because they want to know. They want to have a conversation with you. The reason why our children don't ask us questions many times is because we are not available. and we're not involved in the process, in their process and in their progress. We are not available. We are not involved. Unfortunately, the hustle and bustle of life has kept so many parents far from their children. We are not available. We are not involved. Even when we are around, we are not involved. When we are at home, we are not available. God will deliver some of us from our mobile devices. Your child is talking to you, there is no eye contact. The child is talking to you, you are busy on your phone. You're having a conversation with your child, the phone rings, you walk away, you make your calls. Our children want to, your children will open up to you, have conversations with you and I, if we are available and involved in their progress. Our children want us to be involved in their process and their progress, not just come and tell them what to do. They want to see you get involved. Your child brings back a project. Can you just sit down with that child, guide that child, and help that child do that? You're building bonds. And then our children will ask us questions if they don't trust us. That's the truth. So many of us, we have broken trust with our children a lot of times. That time you told that child, I am waiting for you, and you walked away. Do you know you broke trust? That time you told that child, I won't tell anybody. And then Auntie this came and Uncle that came. You say, did you see what this child did today? Although I told him I won't tell you, but I've told you. Sorry, you did that. Do you know you broke trust? So our children won't bring meaningful conversations to us or their concerns when they know that we keep breaking trust. The things they told us not to tell anybody, everybody is hearing it. And this also goes to Sunday school teachers, counselors. A child came to you with a concern, and you told that child you won't tell anybody. But the child is beginning, the mom has had it in a way. You may have to tell the parent, but you have passed that information in a very wrong way. You have broken trust, and many of that. They are too afraid to ask you. A lot of time, our children are too afraid of us, too afraid to talk to us, too afraid to ask. In fact, they see us as that man up there, that woman up there, and they're just too afraid to have conversations with us. So our children won't ask us. They can't bring their difficult questions to you if they are afraid of you. If the running rod you have known to use on your children is the cane, you scare them away from you. If the only rod you have known to use is to yell at them, use threats on your children, they will be too afraid of you to bring things. See, if your child is afraid of you, if there's a molester, that child won't bring that conversation to you. If your child is too afraid of you, if there's a crush, that child will never tell you. If a child is afraid of you, and some things the child is not understanding, the child doesn't even on this Bible thing you're talking about, everything is looking to the child like, I don't even understand what people are saying. Is it true? The child may never have that conversation with you to tell you, I don't think the Bible is true. A child once told the father, they just left Nigeria to the shores of Canada, and then he met a friend, and he told his father that, I'm beginning to like this religion, and that's the religion I want to practice. This is the religion I want to begin to practice. And the mother was like, why? What happened? And I told her, thank God your child came to you. It means you have a relationship with that child. Now imagine that child had kept that in his brain because he had made friends with children of that religion. And then he was beginning to like that religion and the way they practiced it. The serenity and the peace he always saw in that home every time he entered. And then the meditation they did. And then we began to ask the child, why? What exactly made you want to practice that religion? And then he said, the question he asked his parents was, the mother first of all was, what made you become a Christian? Is it because your parents were Christians and then you all became Christians and all that? Say, because I want to practice another, I want to just try another religion. I'll still be a Christian. No. So, by the time we began to ask, and then this was the information we got. And then we began to pray for conviction, that the Lord will convict that child. Let the child get his own personal conviction of the Lord Jesus Christ so that he doesn't go astray. Now imagine there was no room for communication. He was too afraid of his parents. That conversation would never have happened. Okay? You are not informed or up to date. Your children will bring questions to you if they know that you're a parent who is not given to learning. That's the truth. They've asked you the first, especially your teenagers. Do you know that children know who has answers to their questions? And that's who they will take their questions to. So if you are that parent that every time your children is asking you a question, your answer is, I don't know. I don't know. They're bringing real life, real time questions. You never know. They will stop asking you. What am I saying? Get learning. Get involved in learning. Be a lifelong learner. Read. Dear parents, dear counselor, dear guardian, read. The information you had 10 years ago has it has gone, it's expired. There are new informations coming up every single day. You need to be up to date. Can I tell you something? Sometimes the questions your children are bringing to you, they know the answer. Now they have the content, but many times they come to you for the context. They have the content, but many times they will come to you for context, to put what they are already hearing and knowing into context of your values and your family values and all that you believe. So you need to be an updated parent. That's why you can have those questions, you can answer difficult questions. You have to be an updated parent, up to date parent, which means your ears should be open to information. Your eyes should be fixed to information. Don't say this does not concern me. It's my generation. As long as you are living, your generation is not gone. As long as you have children in your life, you need to update every time. Okay? Your reaction, approach, and response to previous questions can make your children not to ask you questions. How did you react the last time that child brought real question to you? Your child just asks you, can I have a crush or can I have a boyfriend? You're already shouting, yay, I'm going to take you for virginity test. A simple question, no. Your reaction, you have so reacted, you've just done some very wild things, and the child is wondering, what's doing my mom? What's doing my daddy? You're already saying some things, or a child is just asking you a question on pregnancy. You have taken it. In fact, the way you handle that child won't ask you again. That child won't ask you questions in that line again, because the way you reacted, your approach to the answer. A child is asking a simple question. Can you just start by giving simple answers? Can you just make a little more inquiry? Then can you ask the child, why are you asking? Do you get? But sometimes the child is just asking a simple question, and some parents will just take it to the next level. You're already reporting it's just a simple question. I'm telling you, that child won't ask again. And then you haven't given them opportunity to ask questions. So your children may not ask you. There's no opportunity. There's no room for it. Everything, you're the alpha and omega of all information in your house. Your children will ask you questions. Once again, as I begin to round up, please make out time. Be available. Make your home conducive for your children to have conversations with you, meaningful conversations with you. And I will say, it mustn't be formal, tailored. Now, today, we want to have question and answer. No. Your children should be able to have conversations with you while driving. Your children should be able to have a stroll with you, have conversations, ask you questions, talk with them. You ask them, they answer you. You just have a conversation. Your children should ask you questions in the kitchen. You could be watching a movie or the news together, and it can trigger a conversation. What I'm saying is, make it meaningful. Don't be that parent that is not approachable. Don't be that Sunday school teacher, that coach that children can't come to. You just pour it on them and then you go. You just load them with information and you go. No, create room for questions and answers. Don't make it, see, and the truth is that if you make it so formal, your children won't ask you. So ask them sometimes, what do you think about this? What's happening? And allow them ask you questions. Just have conversations with them. Make having conversations regular. And permit me to say, have conversations on everything and anything. I say it once again. Have conversations on everything and anything. Even if it's a difficult conversation. How difficult is difficult conversation to you? If you need to heal, go and heal from whatever it is. I remember one time when a parent called me and said, this thing you are saying, do you know that I can't call it penis? I said, what happened to it? Is it not penis? Is it another name to it? Why are you changing the name about penis? Penis is penis now. That's the name. She said, yeah, look at the way you are shouting, you are calling it. I said, what is wrong with it? It's penis, it's vagina, it's vulva, it's scrotum sac. Is there a problem with it? Do you get? And I had to tell her something. If it's difficult, enter your room, take a deep breath, then call that word 10 times, 20 times, then just have a conversation about it. Let your children feel free. Your son should be free to say, Look at what is happening in my hostel. Look at the conversation that's happening about pennies. Do you know that people are comparing the sizes of their pennies in my hostel? And then you're able to have that conversation. Do you have money conversations with your children? Some of us, we have never had money conversations with our children. There are so many things we can have conversations with them about. Your children are asking lots of questions. Who is God? Does God exist? Where do man come from? There are so many questions they are asking. Their questions are surrounding around so many things: nature, spirituality, growth, personality, so many. So find time at all times, parents, to answer their questions. I can go on and on and on. Please answer your children's questions. If it's a question you're not sure of the answer, tell them to please give you time to go find the answer. And then, if you have promised the child to go find the answer, please find the answer and then get back to that child. If it's a one you want you and the child to answer together, please, two of you, look for the answer together and have that conversation. And then, again, there are questions that your children may never bring to you, not because they do not want to bring to you, because sometimes there is no, the atmosphere for such questions never comes up, maybe in your house. It has never happened. I give an example. There was a child that once lived with us. In our house, we don't do alcohol. In fact, we've never really had any conversation about alcohol and all that. And one of the days, he was with my younger brother, and he had that conversation with him that he wants to taste alcohol, what it looks like. That conversation may never have happened in my house, but he trusted my brother to answer that question. What am I saying? You have to strategically position people in your life who can also answer your children real time, real life questions. Who are the voices they are listening to? Who are their coaches? Who are their mentors? Who are their heroes? Who are the people they listen to more? You have to strategically position them, position those people in their life, so that if there's anyone you miss as a parent, those people will also answer, will get to it and help you answer those questions. Why? You are not alpha and omega. You will not always know it. You will not always have the answer. I'm telling you. But there are times there are people who have those answers and who can help you give answers to those questions. Once again, Sunday school teacher, coach, mentor, please, when children bring questions to you, teenagers bring questions to you, even when it is not related in any way to what you have been assigned to do in their lives, that's a pointer that that child wants to have a conversation. And it is a pointer that that child trusts you. Please answer that child. Like I will say, don't say no consign me. Know that the Lord has strategically positioned you in that part of that child's life. And if that child is bringing that conversation to you or that question, please answer and have that conversation. Once again, our children are asking questions. They are becoming bolder. They are becoming more audacious. Their voices are becoming louder, unlike our time when we are shut down. Now, if you are not answering their questions, they will take their questions elsewhere and they will get their answers. But let it be that they get their answers right. That's why we say, dear parents, please position yourself well. Be that parent that is open for conversations. Be that trusted adult that is open for conversations. And the Lord will help us. Once again, thank you so much for listening. I want to stop here, and then if you have any questions, I can answer. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Wow, that was an amazing session with Mrs. Stella Opoku. Once again, she said something that caught my fantasy. Every human being is born with an unbridled curiosity. It's okay for your children to ask questions. And like she said when she was ending, these children will keep asking questions all over and all over again. This is 2025 and this is the Gen Z period. They will keep asking questions, and once you don't position yourself properly, it's either they get those answers from the internet or they get it from outsiders, and you do not want them to get those answers from outsiders or from the internet, because it will be that one day your children are coming up with attitude and behaviors that you do not know where they pick it up from, because you do not want to answer their questions and you are not even available. Like she gave us the story of the child that they went to the mall to get something. I was asking about what a condom is. Most parents will actually shy away from the question of, okay, sexuality when it comes to children growing up. They will keep telling your children, okay, if a guy touches you, you get pregnant, those kind of things. And the children grow up with that notion that, okay, this guy touched me today and nothing happened to me. But when you keep telling your children, okay, this is what you should do at this age and this is what you shouldn't do at this age, they grow up to understand that, yes, my mom told me that if I should do this, this will not happen. If I do this, this will happen. They grow up with this mindset that their parents were actually very truthful to them, not hiding words or mising words from them. Now, this is a take home for parents and even for carers and even for upcoming or potential parents. When your children ask you questions, please be truthful to them. And like she said, give them answers that relate to their age, so that when as they're growing up, they understand that, okay, this is what she actually meant, this is what they actually meant. That they have to lie to me or they have to tell me something completely opposite from what I asked them. I really enjoyed today's session. I don't know about you, but I'm going to really watch this session again because it was so amazing and mind-blowing. If you have questions, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. While we wait for this questions in the comment section, Mrs. Oboko, if you have your final words while we wait for questions in the comment section.
All right, thank you so much. I like to have questions really. I would have loved to see questions so that we can answer questions. So, telling your child shut up, keep quiet, you talk too much, you are disturbing me, it's not your portion, God forbid. It's not the answer to their questions. Please find answer to your children's questions. Don't tell your children lies. Don't tell them half truths. Don't give them incorrect answers. Don't give them inappropriate answers. And please don't give your children insensitive answers. Your children should not be shamed again because they asked questions. Let it end in our generation. So many of us are healing from the many shut ups we were told growing up for being inquisitive. So many of us we are healing because so many children, so many of us in our generation lost our voices because of the many shut ups we had. Let that not be the story of our children, because if you're not answering them, once again, their friends are answering them. Oh, the internet is answering them. And if you are lucky, there are reasonable adults, responsible adults who are answering them. Please, once again, answer your children's question. Have meaningful conversations. She said, I love what she said about us reporting our children. I am guilty. It is well. If we have to report our children, please let it be that the child was told, I will report you. It was a consequences of it. I said, if you do it again, I will report you. So it was not that your child had come to tell you something in confidence and you're going to report to the child, or you're going to tell somebody else. If you want to tell somebody else about what your child is saying, which is very possible, because there are some things your children will come talk to you about that you cannot handle. Like I said, we are not alpha and omega. That's why God is placing people in our lives, and that's why we have to strategically look for people who will place in our children's life. There are questions they may be asking you. Honestly, we are not in the right position to help them so much. You can actually start a conversation, but somebody will do a better job on that conversation. Now, let that child know that I will be inviting this person on this conversation. And if it is in a case where the child needs help, especially for those of us who are mentors, counselors, coaches, and all of that, so the school teachers, and you have noticed that a child is telling you something where they need professional help, you may be in the right position to help that child, but you know that you need parental consent. So please get that child to accept you telling the parent, and even if you're the parent, and then you think your child needs professional help concerning what the child is asking, please, in agreement with the child, let the child know and say the reason, while another person have to step in to handle that concern. By so doing, trust is not broken. Your child is able to ask you more questions. The many times, please, let us stop telling our children to shut up. Let us always hear them out, know what they are saying. Will you always agree with what they say? No, we will not always agree with what they say, because why? You are the parent. There are many times when you will be firm. You know what is the right thing that should be done, but you give them the opportunity to actually hear what their opinion is about it, and then you help them understand why it has to be done a certain way. There's nothing as beautiful as children knowing that their voice is being heard in their homes. There's nothing as beautiful as children knowing that they are being considered, they are being involved in their home. I tell you, it builds bond, and these children are willing to always have conversations. Just imagine a family where your son, your daughter can always walk up to you, daddy, walk up to you, mommy, and have conversations as they grow. Any conversation. Imagine what it will be. Do you think that child will have low self esteem? I don't think so. Do you think that child will be timid? No, I don't think so. You will be raising a confident child who can actually have conversation. And I want to say something again. Dear parents, learn to hold conversations, not yes, no answers. Open-ended questions. Do you get? Learn to hold conversations with your children. Not your child asks a question and in the next 2 seconds, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. You know, there are questions your children will ask, and the conversation can even linger for days, weeks. You are still having that conversation. Even if you are gisting and laughing over some of those things, the message is being passed, the conversation is being had. There is no shame, there is no blame. The Lord will help us in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, once again, answer your children's questions. Please, our children are asking questions. Answer their question, or else they may take their questions and get their answers from places you may not be happy and you will not be proud they got their answers from. Please, our duty is to build our children, not to break them. So let's always be open for conversations, and the Lord will help us in Jesus' name. Amen. All right,
Thank
Sister
you so
Priscilla,
much.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much. That was amazing. In the absence of any correction, please let us understand that it's one thing to listen and it's one thing to put into practice what you have learned. From Chijoke Ugu is saying, well done, Auntie Stella. That was so
Thank
amazing.
you.
Get your friends, get your family, get people to watch this session over and over again. This was very, very enlightening and educating. Please watch this session again to gain more insight. It's okay for children to ask questions, and it's okay for you as a parent or as a carer to be patient. Patience is a virtue. You have to be patient with them, even though they keep asking questions that are not relating to whatever you're talking about. Just be patient with them, listen, and like she said, provide answers that suit their age. Thank you so much for this wonderful session tomorrow. We're going to meet again tomorrow by 4 p.m. All right, thank you so much, B. Bora. I hope I didn't murder your name. Thank you so much and do have a wonderful night's rest. We'll see you tomorrow.